If this reading found you today, I really don't think it's by accident, because the energy coming through here, someone who has been trying so hard to keep themselves grounded and focused, while emotionally carrying way more than people realize. The overall energy with the Ten of Wands on the bottom of the deck tells me you've been carrying a lot in silence. Responsibilities, emotional weight, expectations, maybe even trying to hold yourself together while still showing up for everybody else. And I feel like lately you've been asking yourself, how much longer can I keep doing this? But what's interesting is your cards don't actually show failure, they show progress. The first card out is the Seven of Pentacles. This is somebody who has already planted the seeds. You've already done more work than you're giving yourself credit for. This card feels like waiting for results, waiting for confirmation, waiting for something to finally move after putting so much time, energy, or emotion into it. And I feel like for a lot of you, this has been frustrating because you're in that in-between stage where things are not fully where you want them to be yet, but you also cannot go backwards anymore. You've outgrown an old version of yourself. And honestly, I think that's part of the discomfort here, because the Seven of Pentacles can feel very emotionally exhausting when you're doing everything right, but the reward hasn't fully shown up yet. It's like watching everyone else harvest while you're still waiting for your season to bloom. But then you move into the Eight of Pentacles. This tells me you have not stopped working. Even if you've been tired, even if emotionally you've questioned everything, you're still building something. This could absolutely be work, business, content creation, school, learning something new, building financial stability. But for some of you, this is deeper than that. This is rebuilding yourself. This feels like someone becoming more disciplined, more intentional, more selective with their energy. And I keep hearing, I cannot afford distractions anymore. Some of you are realizing that your future requires a different version of you than the one that survived your past. And that's a hard transition because sometimes healing is not dramatic. Sometimes healing looks like consistency, waking up and trying again, staying committed even when your emotions are all over the place. And I feel like Spirit is really acknowledging your effort here because this doesn't feel lazy at all. If anything, this feels like someone who almost doesn't know how to stop carrying things. Then suddenly, we move into the Ten of Cups. And honestly, this energy shift is beautiful because after all this heaviness, there's emotional fulfillment here, happiness, alignment, feeling emotionally seen, feeling connected again. For some of you, this is love, but not necessarily in the way people expect. This feels like emotional safety, feeling at peace with someone, feeling understood, feeling like you don't have to force things. And if this is not romantic, this can absolutely be a future vision you're finally starting to believe in again. A life you're building toward that actually feels emotionally fulfilling instead of just surviving. What's important is that this card comes after the work cards. That matters because this happiness doesn't feel temporary. It feels earned. You're not being shown fantasy here. You're being shown emotional alignment after a long period of emotional labor. But then we get the Eight of Wands, and this is where things start moving quickly. Communication, momentum, fast changes, forward movement. Something that felt stagnant suddenly picks up speed. And I almost feel like some of you are not emotionally prepared for how quickly things could shift once they finally begin moving. Because for so long, the energy has been slow, heavy, delayed, emotionally draining. And now suddenly there's movement, messages, invitations, opportunities, travel for some of you, conversations happening fast, emotions becoming harder to ignore. But here's the thing. The next card is the Three of Swords. And this is where the reading gets very honest, because I don't actually feel like this heartbreak is necessarily new. This feels triggered. Something about this forward movement is activating old pain, old fears, old disappointments. For some of you, this is fear of being hurt again right when things start getting good. It's like, can I trust this? Is this real? What if I get excited and it falls apart again? And honestly, I think that's why the Ten of Wands is sitting underneath all of this. Because you've been carrying emotional exhaustion for so long that even happiness can feel emotionally risky now. That's deep. Some of you have spent so much time in survival mode that peace almost feels unfamiliar. And I feel like Spirit is saying, do not sabotage what's trying to reach you just because your nervous system is more familiar with disappointment. That message is strong because the cards do not show someone failing. They show someone healing while still carrying unresolved pain. And those are two very different things. The Three of Swords also feels like necessary truth, a realization, an emotional release, seeing something clearly, accepting what cannot come with you into this next chapter. And honestly, I think some of you are grieving an old version of yourself too. The version that settled, the version that overgave, the version that accepted crumbs because they didn't fully believe bigger things were possible. That version of you cannot go where you're headed. And I know that sounds dramatic, but this reading genuinely feels transformational, especially because the ending energy is not collapse, it's release. The Ten of Wands underneath all of this tells me you are reaching the end of a cycle that has been mentally, emotionally, and spiritually heavy. You are not meant to carry all of this forever. And I think the biggest message here is just because something has been hard does not mean it is failing. Some of you are much closer to emotional fulfillment than you realize. But Spirit keeps showing me that you have to stop measuring your life based on how heavy the current moment feels. Because your future is not matching your current exhaustion, and that changes everything. So if this reading resonated, take what connected and leave what didn't. But this feels like a turning point reading, not because everything suddenly becomes perfect overnight, but because you are finally moving out of survival mode and into alignment. And that's a much bigger shift than you know yet.